Hi guys, Honor Weber here, and welcome back to Personal Readings and Dramatic Stories. And today I thought we would continue vlogmas with more reading of the American Girl Christmas books. And I thought today we would continue historical order-wise with Josefina's Surprise. Now, a little background about me. Growing up, I never really clicked with the character of Josefina like I did with some of the other characters, like Felicity and Molly, of course. Felicity and Molly and Addie, I really clicked with right from the get-go. I love their stories, I love their books, and obviously, I got Molly. But Josefina, I never really clicked with, and I read her books much later on than a lot of the other American Girl characters, I feel like. And so I don't remember a whole lot about the Josefina book, but I also didn't remember that much about the Felicity book either. So let's get right on into it. Chapter 1. Christmas is coming. The wind was playing with Josefina. First it made her skirt billow up, out behind her, and the ends of her rebozo fly up, like wings. Then it twirled around and pushed against her back, hurrying her along like a helpful but impatient hand. Josefina smiled. She could see that the wind was playing with her sisters, and Tia Dolores too. They looked like birds with ruffled feathers as they were blown along the road on this blustery morning. Josefina, her three sisters, and Tia Dolores were on their way to the village about a mile from their rancho. The road ran between the stream and the fields and under tall cottonwood trees. The trees were bare now. The wind-swept fields were wintry, stubbly brown. It was December. Christmas was coming, and today everyone was gathering to clean the church so that it would be ready to decorate. Josefina's papa had gone ahead to the burro loaded with wood for Christmas bonfires. The sisters and Tia Dolores would join him and their friends and neighbors at the church. "Oh!" exclaimed Francisca, exasperated. The wind was blowing her hair so that it curled wildly around her face. Francisca was Josefina's second oldest sister. She was very careful about how she looked, especially when she was going to the village. She pulled her rebozo up over her head and tried to hold it in place with one hand as she struggled to carry the basket in her other hand. Josefina didn't care if her hair was windblown. She slipped her arm under Francisca's basket. "I'll carry this," she said. "Gracias," said Francisca. She let go of the basket and held her rebozo tightly under her chin with both hands. Josefina glanced at the bright red chilies in the basket. "Why are you bringing these?" she asked Francisca. "They're for Senora Sanchez," said Francisca. Don't you remember, Josefina? Asked Anna, the oldest sister. Mama always gave Senora Sanchez some of our chilies at this time of year. Senora Sanchez claimed she couldn't make her traditional stew without them. Oh, that's right, said Josefina. I remember. Tia Dolores smiled at Josefina. I'm eager to taste Senora Sanchez's famous stew, she said. I'm glad Christmas is coming soon. Josefina could only manage a very small smile, too, in return. She saw that Clara, her next oldest sister, was frowning. Anna and Francisca didn't look very enthusiastic either. Tia Dolores looked at the sisters' faces. What's the matter? She asked. Anna answered. When Mama was alive, Christmas was always happy, she said. But last Christmas came soon after Mama's death. All we could think about was how much we missed her. Tia Dolores spoke quietly. It must have been very hard, she said. Josefina slid her hand into Tia Dolores's. She knew that last Christmas must have been hard for her, too. Tia Dolores had been far away in Mexico City when Mama died. How sad and lonely she must have been. Tia Dolores was Mama's sister, and she missed Mama as much as Josefina, Clara, Francisca, and Anna did. A few months ago, Tia Dolores had come to stay on the rancho to help Josefina's family, and for that, Josefina was grateful every single day. Last year, Christmas was very quiet, said Francisca. There were no parties or dances, out of respect for Mama. No one felt like celebrating anyway. For a while, the sisters and Tia Dolores walked without talking. They were all remembering last year and wondering what this Christmas would be like. Josefina listened to the stream as it splashed over the rocks, over the rocks and around the curves. Josefina wished she could be as carefree about the holiday that lay ahead. She asked Tia Dolores about one thing that was worrying her. Would it be wrong to be happy this Christmas? She said. Would it be disrespectful to Mama? No, I don't think so, said Tia Dolores. The year of mourning has passed. Christmas is a blessed time. Christmas is a blessed time. I'm sure God means for us to be happy and to celebrate the birth of his son, Jesus. She looked down at Josefina. And I'm sure your Mama would want you to be happy. She'd want you to pray and sing and celebrate with your friends and neighbors. See, Anna agreed. Mama would want us to follow all the Christmas traditions. I think so too, said Francisca. Well, Clara said flatly, we may follow the traditions, but they won't be the same without Mama. Somewhere inside Josefina, a knot tightened. Clara's right, she thought. Mama loved Christmas traditions, Josefina said to Tia Dolores. She even started a new one in our family every Christmas. She'd make a doll for... Oh, Josefina, exclaimed Anna, interrupting. You're talking about Nina, aren't you? Nina should have been given to you last Christmas. But she never was, said Josefina. Tia Dolores looked puzzled. "Who's Nina?" she asked. Anna explained. "When I was 8, Mama made a doll for me. She named the doll Nina. Every Christmas, Mama made a new dress for Nina. Then the year I was 8, then the year Francisca was 8, I gave Nina to her." "See," said Francisca. "And the Christmas when Clara was 8, I gave Nina to her. Of course, last year Mama was not here to make a dress for Nina," said Anna sadly. She turned to Clara. But you could have given Nina to Josefina anyway, Clara. What happened?" Josefina was curious to hear Clara's answer, but Clara only shrugged and said, "I guess I forgot." "Never mind, Clara," said Tia Dolores. "You can give the doll to Josefina this Christmas. I'll help you make a new dress for her." Where is Nina? I've never seen her." "I haven't seen her in a long time either," said Francisca. "Neither have I," said Josefina, looking at Clara. "Oh, she's around somewhere," said Clara. Her voice sounded unworried. But just for a second, a troubled look clouded her eyes. The look came and went so quickly, Josefina thought she must have imagined it. Francisca, who was messy, liked to tease Clara, who was neat. "Heavens!" she said. "Do you mean to say you've lost Nina?" "She's not lost," said Clara, crossly kicking a pebble with her shoe. "I told you, she's around somewhere. I'll look for her when I have time." "Would you like me to help you look?" Josefina asked. She didn't want to make Clara more cross, but she really did want Nina. "Christmas is coming soon, and—" "I know," said Clara sharply. "I don't need any help. I'll find her." "Of course you will, Clara," said Tia Dolores. Tia Dolores sounded so sure that Clara would find Nina. Josefina wished she could be as sure. How could Clara possibly have misplaced something as precious as Nina? Where could the doll be? At that moment, Josefina made up her mind. She was going to look for Nina herself, no matter what Clara said. After all, Nina was supposed to be hers. Josefina's decision to look for Nina cheered her. She couldn't help feeling a little hopeful, just as she couldn't help feeling a little excited because she heard music. Josefina quickened her steps. The music was faint but clear, floating up from the village. "Listen," said Tia Dolores. They all lifted their faces and listened to the music grew louder and stronger. It seemed to urge them, "Come along, come along." Soon they were all walking so fast they were practically dancing. Josefina's thick braid bounced against her back, and even sensible Clara skipped a little bit. The sound of music mixed in the air with the spicy scent of burning pinon wood. As they came to the village, they saw smoke rising up from the chimneys into the cloudless blue sky. It was a small village. Josefina knew everyone in all the 12 families who lived there. She knew their houses too. which were built close together and seemed to lean toward each other like old friends. The houses were made of earth-colored adobe. They were surrounded by hard-packed dirt, fence pens for animals, and vegetable gardens, now sleeping under bumpy winter blankets of brown dirt. Most of the houses faced the clean, swept plaza at the center of the village. The biggest and most important building in the village was the church. It was 1 story tall except for the front, where the bell was hung high above the doors. Today, the doors of the church were wide open. People scurried in and out carrying brooms and bushes, tools and scrubbing rags. They hauled big, sloshing tubs of water up from the stream. Bendos das? It's good to see you. How are you today? Everyone called out when they saw Tia Dolores and the sisters. Bendos das? We are very well, thank you. They called back over the sound of music and the noise of dogs barking and hammers pounding. People were talking, and every once in a while Josefina would hear swoops of laughter from the little children as they chased one another. Clara, Francisca, and Anna went inside the church to start working, but Tia Dolores and Josefina lingered outside next to the musicians. One man was playing a guitar, the other 2 were playing violins. As Josefina and Tia Dolores listened, the music changed. It began to play a slow, sweet song. All the noise and conversation seemed to fade away for Josefina. All she could hear was the music. I haven't heard this lullaby since I was a child, said Tia Dolores. She hummed along with the music for a moment and then asked Josefina, Please, will you sing it for me? Josefina nodded. Very softly she began to sing. Sleep, my beautiful baby, sleep, my grain of gold. The night is very cold. The night is... Josefina's throat tightened, and she couldn't finish the song. She turned her head away and looked down at the baskets of chili she was carrying, so that Tia Dolores wouldn't see that her eyes had filled with tears. But Tia Dolores had seen them already. She put her hand under Josefina's chin and gently turned Josefina's face forward. Mama used to sing that lullaby to me when I was little, said Josefina, and we always sang it together at church on Christmas Eve to baby Jesus. Tia Dolores used the soft edge of her sleeve to dry Josefina's cheek. Then she asked, Does everyone sing it? Everyone sings the end, said Josefina, but not the first part. That's sung alone by the girl who is Maria in Las Portas. You know, said Tia Dolores, you're old enough to be Maria. Oh, I couldn't, said Josefina. Her heart pounded faster at the very thought. Las Santas was one of the most important and holy Christmas traditions. For 9 nights in a row, everyone in the village acted out the story of the first Christmas Eve, when Maria and Joseph were searching for shelter before baby Jesus was born. A girl took the role of Maria, riding a burro as Jesus' mother did, and a man took the role of Joseph. Maria and Joseph and their followers went from house to house asking for shelter. Again and again they were turned away, until finally they were welcomed at the last house on Christmas Eve. The final night of Las Potasas, everyone was welcomed into the church instead of a house, and the midnight mass began. Sometimes, said Tia Dolores thoughtfully, a girl wants to be Maria because she wants to pray for something special. I wonder what your prayer would be, Josefina, if you were Maria. Josefina did not have to wonder. She knew what her prayer would be. I'd pray that this will be a happy Christmas, said Josefina, for us and for Mama in heaven. Tia Dolores smiled. That's a good prayer, she said. Are you sure you don't want to be Maria? Josefina listened to the last notes of the lullaby. Part of her wanted to be Maria, but part of her knew she couldn't do it. Last year I could hardly sing the song in Las Posadas, she said. They made me so sad because they reminded me that Mama was gone. I'm afraid it will be the same this year. She shook her head. I couldn't possibly be Maria. I understand, said Tia Dolores. It's still too soon for you. She tucked a strand of Josefina's hair behind her ear. Let's go in now. Josefina nodded and walked into the church with Tia Dolores. The church was usually a quiet, solemn place, and dim because the windows were very small and set deep in the thick walls. But today it was busy. But today it was busy and noisy. Light poured in from the open doors and peeked through the gaps in the roof where it had been damaged in the storm that fall. Everywhere Josefina looked, she saw friends and neighbors and workers from Papa's rancho who'd put aside their usual chores to come and clean the church. Senora Sanchez, Senora Lopez, and several other women chatted together as they swept. Josefina saw Papa's sister, Tia Magdalena, with a group of women who were polishing candlesticks. Anna and Francisca and Clara were in a group of girls who were dusting. Boys who were supposed to be scattering water over the floor to settle the dust were splashing each other. Most of the men of the village stood together with their arms crossed over their chests, looking up at the roof and discussing the damage caused by the storm in the fall. Josefina saw Papa standing with the men. Then Papa excused himself. "There you are," he said to Josefina and Tia Dolores. I was looking for you. We stopped outside to listen to the music, Tia Dolores explained. I might have known, Papa said. His eyes twinkled. You two are the musicians in our family. Josefina could tell that Papa's compliment pleased Tia Dolores because she blushed a little. Well, she said, we're ready to work now. Good, said Papa. He caught the eye of Senora Garcia, who came over. Senor Garcia was the mayordomo. It was his job to assign tasks because he and his wife took care of the church. Senor Garcia was an old man, thin and stooped, with very white hair. He had a husky voice and stately manners. Everyone respected him for his knowledge and liked him for his kindness. God bless you, Senor Garcia said to Tia Dolores and Josefina. I'm glad to see you. We need good, willing hands like yours to help. I'm afraid the storm has made our work harder than usual. The roof caused terrible damage when it fell in. We have a lot to do before the priests come on Christmas Eve. Will you two help us with the sweeping? We'd be glad to, said Tia Dolores. Gracias, said Senor Garcia. Then he turned to Papa. May I ask your family to wash and iron the altar cloth, as you have done for many years? Of course, said Papa. I remember when your dear wife gave the cloth to the church, said Senor Garcia. She'll be in our prayers this Christmas, I'm sure. See, said Papa quietly. Senor Garcia turned to Josefina again. Josefina, he said, I was wondering if you would like to be Maria in the Las Posadas this Christmas. Perhaps to offer a special prayer for your mama. Josefina froze. Papa looked at her, waiting to hear her answer. Tia Dolores put her arm around Josefina's shoulders. It's very kind of you to ask, Senor Garcia, she said, but I think that this year. Ah, I see, said Senor Garcia gently. Perhaps next year. Well, Margarita Sanchez can be Maria this Christmas. Josefina didn't say anything. Just for a moment she leaned into Tia Dolores' arm, grateful for her understanding. When she went to find Senora Sanchez to give her the basket of chilies, Morning flew by so fast that Josefina was surprised when Senor Garcia called everyone together for the closing prayer. May God accept our work here today as a prayer of thanks for his merciful love, he said. Amen, said everyone together. Josefina said her goodbyes and walked out into the sunshine with her family. She had enjoyed sweeping and listening to the sing-songs of the women's voices as as they gossiped and chattered around her. It had been nice to be a part of a friendly group of scrubbing and sweeping and dusting together. Because of their work, the church shone. But now Josefina headed home with eager steps. She was determined to begin looking for Nina that afternoon.